In today's video, I wanted to show you some plants that'll be a great bang for your buck. In terms of when you buy some plants, these will be plants that'll grow 3, maybe even 4 feet wide. They'll take up a lot of space. They need minimal maintenance. They're easy to grow. So if you're a beginner all the way to advanced, if you've grown these before, they're probably staples for you. But we're planting up a bunch of plants here in the greenhouse. This is greenhouse number 1 and greenhouse number 2 is starting to get full. So I wanted to show you some of these bang for your buck plants. Let's check them out. So the first plant that I wanted to talk about right here, it is very famous and you probably already know about it, but it is the Supertunia bubblegum. These just literally got potted up in the last few days. So right now it's a plug with some soil they need to root out. That's why they're smaller. But the Supertunia bubblegum here, at least in the south, in our area, if you have a long growing season, they can get up to 3 to 4 feet wide. These plants are heavy feeders, so you will need to fertilize them at least once a week with some sort of water-soluble fertilizer. But they are beasts in the garden, and of course, they have the beautiful pink bubblegum blooms. So really, you can put them anywhere in the garden. In terms of color, they go with anything. They're huge. They're mammoth. These are great bang for your buck. Another plant that is an excellent bang for your buck, I will recommend this one mostly in the landscape. It can do containers, but when I'm saying it's bang for your buck and these get huge, right now they don't look like it, but they're beautiful. This is coffee cups, and these leaves get bigger than my face, and they are upright, so they catch the rain, and then once they get heavy enough, they kind of tip over, and the water pours out. So it's really fun. In the mornings, you can see it, or when it's raining, you can see it. It's just a really fun plant. They can be bog plants. So if you have a boggy area, you can definitely plant these in the bog areas. If you're wondering about zones and everything, I'll leave a link in the description. You can go to provenwinners.com and check them out, or our website. So we have a nursery that's online. We ship plants. Or if you're local to Greenville, South Carolina, you can pick up. But anyway, our website also has the details on the zoning of these plants. These get massive. We have a few in our zone, 8A, that we're at here near Greenville, South Carolina. These do come back for us. They're perennials, but they get huge, bang for your buck. And we sell them as an annual in terms of pricing. But hopefully, if you can find them in your area, they should be priced as an annual if they're that small, or if you can find them that small. So depending what the pricing is in your area, it's a really great bang for your buck. Right here, this one is a great bang for your buck in terms of containers. And right now, it doesn't look like much, but this is Dichondra Silver Falls. This plant drapes, and I mean, when it drapes down, it looks like a jellyfish. It can drape down, I don't know how many feet, 4, even 5 feet if you let it. Also, what some people don't think about is in the landscape, you can actually use this as a ground cover. That's annual. In our area, in our zone, sometimes they do come back, but not super reliably. So I would treat this more like an annual, but they are an intense spiller. So in a container, if you're looking for bang for your buck for a plant that will fill also, along with being a spiller, that's an intense one. That's beautiful and amazing. And let's not forget that silvery color just goes with anything. It's one of my favorite tones when it comes to leaves. Don't just think of blooms when you're making a container. Pair it with some bold leaves, some silvers, some blue colors, some really chartreuse greens, or even purples, things like that. And how can we not mention Vermillionaire? This is the hummingbird plant. If there's one plant that you want to plant because you love seeing the hummingbirds, right here, Vermillionaire. It makes these tube-like red blooms that the hummingbirds love because it's tubular, dude. And they come in and they just buzz all over. This plant does get fairly large. For us here in the south, we actually get it to 3 feet. It's a beautiful plant. The leaves get really deep, glossy colors, which I love, but the blooms aren't like amazing. You see them from a distance. It has a nice color, but the plant is always covered in hummingbirds. One of our favorites and one of the top sellers here at the nursery for that reason. Another bang for your buck, if you're into the tropical look, that coffee cups and a mix of these right here, toucan coral cannas. They have them in all sorts of colors. We love the coral. It's beautiful. Here in our zone, these are actually perennial for us. So in terms of these being sold as an annual, but also being a perennial in our area, it's definitely a bang for our buck. But they get big, they get massive, and the blooms on them are absolutely tropical and stunning. So if you like that look and that type of plant, ooh, it's getting windy if you hear the wind here. I'm in greenhouse number 2 right now. You can see we're starting to fill it up. But this, an amazing, easy to grow plant. You don't even need to fertilize it or think about it. Stick it in. One thing about it is deer, I do find like it. So if you have deer in your area, protect it. And right next to the cannas, I have two right here that are absolute bang for your bucks. I love planting these. Just, you can plant them singular, plant them in a bunch in trios as a giant drift. Then we're getting a little away from bang for your buck when you're spending that much to make big drifts. But oh, they're beautiful. These are the Sun Patience by Proven Winners Compact Orchid Blush. The other color right here, Compact Blush Pink. Bold color, this one's a little more muted. We planted this one last year with the coral cannas and the coffee cups and something else. But if you live in a hot climate and you want blooms constantly in the heat, when everything else kind of takes a little bit of a break, I find Supertunias for us here in the south with our humidity at nights, the Supertunias do take a little bit of a break in the summertime. They do need some pruning and some consistent water and fertilization. But the Sun Patience down there, they, for us, bloom all season long. The only thing about them is that they are a bit water hungry. They will show you when they don't have enough water. They will drip and look a little dramatic. However, they'll bounce right back right after you water them. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but they do like consistent water. And if you can offer them that, they don't even want fertilizer. So awesome bang for your buck. Super low maintenance, in my opinion, if you have drip or if you're consistent about watering. Besides that, they grow big, actually, surprisingly, and they just are covered with blooms. There's more blooms than leaves. Absolute bang for your buck. And the last bang for your buck right here. This is the Proven Winners, the new line, but it is the Virtuoso Pinkerific Dahlias. Now, I don't discriminate amongst dahlias. You can get the regular tuberous dahlias that you have to stake. These you don't have to stake, which is nice. You can put it in your landscape. It's more like a landscape plant, this one is. The other dahlias will be more of the ones that you stake for cut flowers and so on. But long story short, for us in our zone, these are actually perennial. These are sold as annuals, but even if they're not perennial in your zone, they're amazing plants because they're constantly covered with blooms. You can bring in the flowers indoors, but they're just covered and they're so low maintenance. I think because they make tubers, the tubers store that energy. So the plants, in terms of fertilization, in terms of even water, they just seem to be fine all the stinking time. They just bloom for us and then bloom their heads off. If you do cut the flowers, they will produce more. You don't really necessarily have to stay on top of needing to deadhead or anything like that. But again, amazing bang for your buck if you can find any of those dahlias. There's so many other plants that I can cover. We'll be here all day. I got a C right here. I'll show you, and then we're starting back here. Pardon the mess back here. We just need to finish weed whacking that back here. We're going to put some more plants and landscape fabric back there because we're running out of space. Check out our other video. I'm going to post that next or at some other point. I'll do some perennial bang for your bucks. And if I didn't mention any plants that you think are bang for your bucks that are amazing that you love, leave them in the comments. And I think YouTube is going to like this next video for you. It's going to recommend it just for you. Make sure to watch it, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.